ready to talk with Natasha G. G, G,
On the web.
G, G, G.
Talk with Natasha G. Talk with Natasha G. Talk with Natasha G. Talk with Natasha G. Talk with Natasha G. Talk with Natasha G. We're on the web. Talk with Natasha G.
Hello, and thank you for listening to the Talk with Natasha G show. I'm your host, Natasha G. So I've received several complaints from listeners that feel they had the perfect answer to some of our advice column questions. And they were extremely annoyed that they were not able to comment on the advice column questions due to the phone lines being busy. So on a trial basis, I will read the advice column question and give everyone that wants an opportunity to respond to do just that. So you can tweet me, email me, Facebook me, however you like for me to receive your response. And in my teams, in my opinion, we will choose what we feel is the best advice and read your responses on the following week's show. Please know that we do have a window of 2 days to respond to our advice column questions. So we're not going to leave the person seeking advice hanging in limbo because of everyone's vanity of wanting to be heard. Although I'm being facetious, I truly love everyone's willingness to help. Nonetheless, if we use your question, you will receive a token of gratitude from the Talk with Natasha G show. So this evening I have 2 advice column questions that I'll read. The first question comes from Addict Amigo. Once I finish reading the question and if you wish to offer your advice, be sure to use the hashtag AddictAmigo when you respond. So it reads as follows. Dear Natasha G, my best friend has a serious coke problem. He's not a bad person. As far as I know, he's not stealing from anyone to support his habit, but I'm watching him waste away. His mother hasn't put him out, but she's doing nothing to stop him, and I'm concerned. We were about the same size, 6 feet, 160 pounds, give or take a few pounds, which is already really thin. But in the past 3 months, he has dropped at least 45 pounds. He is simply skin and bones. His face is completely hollow, but he swears he is fine. I once called him in the middle of the night and accidentally saved his life because the sound of the telephone woke him up and saved him from choking in his own vomit. I've begged him since then, but he won't seek treatment. He romanticizes the 27 Club and jokes that he has 3 years before he's destined to go. I don't want to call the cops on him, but I don't know how else I can force him to get clean. I won't say that I want what's best for him because I don't know what's best for anyone. But I know that I want him alive, and I don't know how to make this happen. Please help. Signed, Addict Amigo. So listeners, if you would like to respond to Addict Amigo, you can contact me via Twitter by tweeting Talk Natasha G. Email me, natashaG@talkwithnatashaG.com. Also, you can Facebook me, Talk with Natasha G, or my personal page, Natasha G, and that's G-E-E. And please make sure you use the hashtag AddictAmigo. Okay, so for our next advice column question, this question comes from Troubled Changing. Hey, Madam Diva. Well, I like Troubled Changing's greeting, so you guys make sure you give Troubled Changing some extra good advice. Okay, all jokes aside, but thanks again, Troubled Changing, for that great greeting. I love it. The question reads as follows. I am a transgendered woman recently released from a male prison. I was incarcerated for a nonviolent crime. And while I was in, I was forced to dress as a man and use my birth name. I managed to get work release by day through one of the prison's programs, but since I was still property of the state and going back to jail at the end of my shift, I also had to work as a man. While at my job, I met a guy. He worked at an adjacent store. We became friends and started to take our lunch breaks together. Over the next few months, we became really good friends. He tells me he's bisexual, and I eventually tell him my whole situation. Prison, being transgender, the whole deal. He takes it better than I could ever have expected. Shortly before I got out of prison, we began speaking romantically. Of course, since I got out, I've been dressing and presenting myself as a female. And at first, I thought we were just fine. We went on dates, talked about moving in together. It seemed to be moving fast, but we've been talking for nearly a year when you include the time I was on work release. Now I think our problem is the circumstances under which we met. Sean loves me. I know in my heart he loves me, but I don't know that he loves the right me. I'm sure he doesn't mean it. But he occasionally calls me by my birth name or refers to me by male pronouns in casual conversation, and it drives me crazy. He says he's still getting used to the adjustment. I've never met a man so sweet, so understanding, but I'm afraid he's in love with a part of me that I no longer want to know. Prison was hell for me because my cell wasn't the one with the metal doors and the automated locks. Yes, I was in one of those cells, but my true cell, a much smaller and terrifying cell, was my own skin, living as a man that I've never known myself to be. I never want to be reminded of that, but I'm reminded of it every time I hear him call me he. Like I said, I know Sean loves me, but I think he loves him more, the man that I was forced to be when we met. How do I come to terms with that? How do I get him to forget about the me that I've already fought so hard to forget? I don't want to lose such a great man to essentially my former self. Where should we go from here? Signed, Trouble Changing. Okay, listeners, you have your hands full with these two questions. If any listeners would like to respond to Trouble Changing's questions, you can do so by contacting me once again via Twitter, by tweeting Talk Natasha G, emailing me natasha.g@talkwithnatasha.com. Also, you can reach out to me via Facebook, Talk Natasha G, or my personal page, Natasha G, and that's G-E-E. Please make sure you use the hashtag Trouble Changing. Oh, or better yet, you can use my new name, Madam Diva, and we have Trouble Changing to thank for that name. Nonetheless, I'm just kidding. But if you do want to respond to Trouble Changing, just be sure to use the hashtag Trouble Changing. Once again, send me your responses. If you wish to, if we use your response, you will receive a token of appreciation from the Talk with Natasha G show. Okay, and in light of the Boko Haram kidnapping in Africa, we have to discuss human trafficking, sexual slavery, commercial sexual exploitation of children, sextortion, and all the other terminology used when making reference to this heinous crime. This kidnapping has taken place over a month ago. On April 14th, a group of militants attacked the government girls' secondary school in Nigeria. According to the police, approximately 276 children were taken in the attack, and approximately 53 students escaped. The reason why the police are stating approximate numbers is because during the attack, records were destroyed, so they have asked parents to contact them with their child's information in order to give a definitive number. So the numbers can actually be more. The Islamist insurgent group has been on video stating that Allah has told them to do it. I'm really not sure why they would blame Allah for their evil actions, but nonetheless, that's what they're doing. They have also stated that the girls should not be attending school, hence the name Boko Haram, which means Western education is forbidden. They further stated that the students should be getting married and having babies, not seeking an education. They out and out engaged in laughter when stating that they will sell the girls into indentured servitude for $12.50. Yes, you heard correctly, $12.50. Amnesty International has stated that 4 hours prior to the attack, the Nigerian military was informed of the plot to kidnap the students, and they failed to respond, not thinking that the students' safety was a priority. The abductions of these students have triggered a worldwide social media campaign under the Twitter hashtag #BringBackOurGirls. So make sure, in support of the families, the victims, just be sure to use the hashtag #BringBackOurGirls. As an end result to this social media campaign, Bring Back Our Girls, it prompted the U.S., Britain, France, and Israel to offer help or to send in experts, not stating what kind, just simply experts to Nigeria. I'm sorry. The lack of clarity and decisiveness leads me to believe that those are just simply words, and that's it. The scale of this kidnapping was unprecedented, which led the former United States Ambassador of Nigeria, John Campbell, to declare that Boko Haram's strength appears to be increasing and the government's ability to provide security to its citizens appears to be decreasing. Thank you, sir, for overstating the obvious. Like, are you serious? Is this the best you can come up with? Is it their lack of ability or their lack of concern that gives Boko Haram his strength? Let's be honest. They have been cognizant of Boko Haram's existence for years now and have done nothing to preclude them from gaining strength. The locals have conveyed seeing Boko Haram militants crossing borders with the students and have confirmed their suspicions by simply reaching out to people that they know in other areas and asking them if they witnessed the presence of Boko Haram and its victims. So you mean to tell me that the locals have a stronger network than the government? I'm not buying it. And to add insult to injury, Boko Haram is on social media. Pull the plug. Why do we feel the need to honor a he's a confessed human trafficker and murderer? How does he get freedom of speech? Why are we honoring that? I'm disgusted. I mean, what's even more offensive is the response of the arrogant Americans. And yes, I said arrogant Americans. I myself am American and able to say with surety that Americans quite often think that they are impervious to certain situations, therefore merely dismissing them because they feel that they will not be affected due to the barbaric nature of an incident. And then they cry out in outrage when a country states that they don't wish to seek aid from the U.S. I mean, I have news for you. We have found the enemy, and they is us. Excuse my colloquialism, but it's true. Our hands are not clean. They are just as dirty as all the other countries that we want to sit around and point fingers at. How can we effectively eradicate a problem that we perpetuate? How does that work? I mean, I myself wouldn't want help from a culprit either. That would make me just as big as a hypocrite as they are. I mean, American citizens have gotten caught for child sex tourism. Excuse me, I'm speech impaired because I am so annoyed with this situation. If you're not familiar with the term child sex tourism, it is the travel to a foreign country for the purpose of engaging in commercially facilitated child sexual abuse. I mean, you don't have anything else better to do with your money and your time? You want to exploit children? That's absurd to me. I mean, authorities have arrested over 255 U.S. child predators for sextortion. And these are only the ones that they've caught, not including, the ones that got away. This situation is continuously growing in popularity that we are forever creating new words in reference to these horrific situations, which tells me that it's not going anywhere. And the reason it's not going anywhere is due to the amount of money made on human trafficking. Human trafficking is the third largest international crime industry. First, you have your illegal drugs, then you have armed trafficking, and then there's human trafficking. Human trafficking reportedly generates a profit of $32 billion every year. Again, a profit of $32 billion every year for human trafficking. Now tell me, does that sound like that's something that we're trying to do away with? Do a man's twisted sexual desires and the worship of their God, the almighty dollar, due to their lack of values and integrity, young girls, young boys, and women's lives are forever in jeopardy of being imprisoned? I'm telling you, people, we need to pray. We really need to pray. Talk to me. Let me know what you're thinking, what you have to say. Let's continue this conversation off the air. Tweet me at TalkNatashaG. Make sure you guys are out there using the hashtag BringBackOurGirls. Email me, NatashaG at talkwithnatashaG.com. Facebook me, Talk with Natasha G, or Natasha G, my personal Facebook page. Hello, are you there?
Yes.
Hello. Hi, did you want to comment on the Boko Haram kidnapping?
Yes, I would like to comment. I just believe, for one thing, it's just unheard of for, 276 schoolgirls to be kidnapped without, without the government or anybody, any caretakers knowing anything about it. I just believe this whole thing is just tied into the overall human trafficking for sexual purposes. And this thing is worldwide. It's worldwide. And I mean with girls and even boys from these third world countries are gathered up and brought to America and anywhere else so that they can further the sexual appetites of men. And as long as men have a sexual appetite for young girls, young boys, then supply and demand, you're going to find all over the world where young girls are scooped up and gathered up. And, they're used as slaves. When I say slaves, housekeepers or whatever, I mean they're put to work and paid minimal, well, no, not even paid, what they're actually told sometimes when they're taken away from their country is that they're going to America or someplace else to, the land of opportunity, to make a better life for themselves.
That is one thing that they prey upon as the people who are very in impoverished neighborhoods and who really, really need the money and looking for an opportunity.
Exactly.
And so, as a piggyback off what you said, you're right about the amount of people that are trafficked to the U.S. It's over the U.S. State Department said there's over 800,000 people a year is trafficked to the U.S.
And I'm telling you, and it's incredible. And the U.S. needs, the U.S. needs to do something about that too. I mean, they have organizations and things of that nature that can help these people once they come out, once they're discovered, or once they have the courage to go to some of these help groups or these help agencies. But bottom line is they're afraid. They're afraid to go. For one thing, they're here. They don't speak the language. There's so many barriers. But in my research, I found that the main thing that keeps this human trafficking for sexual purposes alive is the sexual appetite of men, American men, supply and demand. As long as they have an appetite for these young girls, young boys, then it's going to continue. I mean, so much so until the in trying to take steps to do away with it, they have actually developed some support groups for men to not want these things. That doesn't work. These guys don't want to do. They want what they want.
Right.
It's galling. I'm telling you. It just makes you want to puke, because this is what it's all hinged on. These people, these women, these girls are not safe because these men have an appetite that they need to feed.
Now, do you actually think these support groups really work? I mean, in the event that someone actually wanted to be courageous and seek help, do you actually think that they're to aid them, or do you think that that they're being paid as well?
No, the men. No, the
actual support groups for the immigrants that are the people who have been.
If they find their way, they can work. But you're taking individuals who have been brought into the country, who don't speak the language, who don't know where they are, and their only touch with reality is their enslaver, the person who brought them over here.
Exactly.
That's their only contact with reality. They know nothing else. And so if they do find a way to get themselves to one of these support groups, then yes, it can work, but they have to overcome so many obstacles before that can even happen. It's like you bring somebody into a dark room and turn them around 3 times and turn them loose in the dark, and where are you? Where are you going?
Right.
You don't know anything. You don't know anything. You don't know who the oppressor is. You don't know who the helper is. Your advocate. You don't know any of these things. So it's a monumental task. For those who have found their way, yes, it does work. And also, the other thing about that is that they're looking at if they don't get into the right support group, they're looking at deportation because they're here illegally.
Exactly.
They've been brought into the country and they're here illegally. So there's just so many obstacles. It's just when I say it's an unfortunate thing, it's deplorable.
It's beyond unfortunate, because a lot of these children and women that were brought here, in all actuality, they develop like HIV and AIDS. They get pregnant.
Exactly.
A lot of them are so mistreated. The malnutrition they suffer from. Social ostracism. I mean, they know no one, like you said. And ultimately, some of them actually could die.
Exactly. When all they wanted was a better life for themselves and their families. They think they're coming someplace. And this thing, I mean, it's not new. It's not new news. I mean, This is stuff that's known. It's known. I mean, the government knows this. Yes, they're trying to throw these support groups out there, but it's not going to resolve the problem. It's not going to resolve the problem. The thing that has to be dealt with is the individual that the individual that needs the services. And I'm talking about sexual services, cleaning services, the prostitution, all of that.
Right.
All of that. They're being used to make money and to satisfy the sexual appetite. And that's what that whole sexual thing is built on. It's to bring these, and I'm saying, I don't care, I said earlier, supply and demand, and that's what it's all about, supply and demand. As long as you have somebody here that has a desire for, and I don't care how young, I don't care what gender, as long as you have somebody here who wants that, the male sexual appetite that wants that and willing to pay, then you're going to have it. You're not going to do away with it.
Right. No, do you actually think there's any hope of eradicating it? Only because, like I said, the profit is $32 billion a year.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Okay.
Tasha G, hold on.
I've been put on hold. Wow. Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yes, well, that's a first. I've been put on hold. Thanks. But, okay, so what I was asking you was, do you actually think, is there any hope of it being eradicated? It brings in so much money. It's $32 billion a year that the U.S. is getting from sexual trafficking. Do you actually think that there will be, any demise of this whole horrific thing?
Natasha G., unfortunately, until the male sexual appetite has been dealt with, until there are real consequences to it, it's not going to be eradicated. It's not going to be. It's just not. And that's the sin and the shame of it, that everybody has to bow down to the male sexual appetite. Until that happens, it's not going to be eradicated.
Right, because quite unfortunately, there people are just fined or just get a slap on the wrist, and I agree with you.
No, just recently do you hear sometimes of them of an arrest of a John or something, but that's not the norm.
Right.
They'll arrest a prostitute all day long, but rarely do you hear them arresting a John. Every now and then you'll hear them arresting a John.
You're right.
So, but because that's not the problem. They don't want to deal with that piece of the problem. It has to be holistic. The solution has to be holistic. You have to deal with the John, that male sexual appetite, and the services for the people who are already embroiled in this system of human trafficking, but not only that, there are Americans who go to these countries just to satisfy. Reputable individuals, doctors, lawyers, who may not do it here, but feel like if they go into another country, well, look, bring me the young girls, bring me some. It's whole,
Right. That is called the child sex tourism. Yeah. The sole purpose of people vacationing is to go and to solicit these young women, children, any boys or girls to engage in sexual abuse of them.
Natasha G., I'm going to have to ask you to hold on a minute.
Okay.
Hold on a minute, please.
Okay. This is interesting, guys. Natasha G's been put on hold again. It's great that she has a phenomenal input, or else I wouldn't even hold. I don't think she knows that we're live on the air, but nonetheless, we'll hold for a few more minutes. But yes, people, we really need to keep everyone in prayer and work on eradicating, the human trafficking. It is a horrific experience for the individuals that are brought over here without anything, and not knowing anyone, the language. It's just a horrible experience. Could you imagine just to be pulled away from all that you know? And then in turn, and to find out that you've just simply been lied to, and the whole purpose for you to be enslaved. It's horrific. It really is.
Hi, I'm back.
Okay. So I mean, just to share some final comments with us and let us know what you think about this whole situation. Any insight that you want, input you want to give us.
Again, and in my looking into this situation in the past few years, what I determined, what my research.
So what type of research have you done? I mean, you said you've been looking into this situation.
Well, yes, on human trafficking for sexual purposes.
Okay.
I did a paper on that for my last degree, and it was that research that really kind of opened my eyes to it, and I mean, I was appalled. I was appalled at the stuff that I was finding, that we would have to bow down to the male sexual appetite, and that's the thing that drove this industry, this trade here. That's the whole piece that drove this trade.
So do you actually think that if one of the negative ramifications of indulging would be castration, do you think that would eradicate it?
Oh, and I'm certain it would, but if we could get to the point where we just started even arresting these guys, a serious effort at arrest.
Right.
Yes, it needs to be negative consequences. Castration, yes. A lot of folks don't want to hear, but yes, if they thought it was to that degree, I think we could make it someplace, and then begin to repair, to build up, to try to fix some of the people who have been enslaved by this trade here. To try to halfway give them a life back. Then that would be phenomenal. But the main piece that we would have to deal with is the almighty male sexual appetite.
Okay,
little girls, babies, boys, whatever it is. As long as they have no constraints on that, then this thing is going to flourish. So, these 276 girls, Nigerian schoolgirls, my heart goes out because I know, the government has a way of turning a blind eye.
Exactly.
And it's just so unfortunate. And we just need to wake up. We need to wake the heck up and do something about this. So.
Okay, well, thank you so much for calling in. Thank you for listening to the show. I really appreciate your comments, and you have a great evening. Thanks.
Thank you much, too. Oh, and you have such a great show. I love your show, Natasha G. And
well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I love it. Keep on, you just expose a lot of these things and give us a voice. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I'm ready to talk with Natasha G.
I'm the best. Talk with Natasha G. 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 I'm the best. Talk with Natasha G. G.